It's 6:29 and a half. I'll round that off to 6:30. Okay, I'll round it off to 6:30. Good evening. My name is Larry Ferdinand. I'm the chairman of the Caddo Parish Democratic Executive Committee. I'd like to thank all of you for taking our time from your business schedule to come to our forum tonight. But we always like to start with a word of prayer. We're going to ask Mr. Manning to do the invitation for us.
Good evening. Would you please stand for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand for prayer. Oh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to assemble here this evening. We come here, Almighty God, with bowed heads and open hearts, asking you, Lord, to give us wisdom and understanding. We're asking you to put your protective arm around each of our candidates tonight as we come here, Lord, to debate in civil ways to understand the positions of our community. We ask that you continue to bless us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're fortunate to have a distinguished moderator to moderate for us this evening. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Mr. Jerry May.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me get off a little bit work. A little early on work as we get underway here. We're going to begin with the opening statements, 3 minutes from each candidate. We're going to go in alphabetical order, starting here on my far right from the current commissioner, Lewis Johnson. 3 minutes, sir, for an opening statement. Here, there.
You can do it right there.
good.
We're going to hand off the microphone.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out on this evening. I'd like to thank our host, the Democratic Committee, for hosting us on this evening. I'd like to also thank my fellow opponents. I'm proud to share and be here with you on this evening, and each and every one of you that have come. My name is Lewis Johnson, and I currently serve as the Commissioner of Caddo Parish District 12. It is an honor and a pleasure to do so. I've been serving since January, at which time I was appointed by the Commission. My goal has been to identify the needs of our community and to represent you with respect and with integrity. My background, my commitment, and my life has been in public service. I retired from the fire department after 33 years. And during that time, my goal and my job was to identify people in need, identify what their concerns were, and when they called me, I was to respond. And that is what I've done. That is what I will continue to do. I have a background in business, I have a degree in business and in organizational management. While on the commission, I have been appointed to the Economic Development Committee. I'm the chairman of the Policy and Procedures Committee, and I have served in those capacities faithfully. It's very important to me to be able to continue to listen and to try and respond accordingly. Some of the things that I've done that I'm most proud of is I think I've made a difference in the areas of our youth. We have a youth summer program, and I was able to provide employment or to sponsor more young people than any other commissioner. So the things that I look forward to doing in the future is to serve you with respect and integrity, and to use the experience that I have gotten from a life of public service to continue to serve you. I'm very accessible. I look forward to this opportunity. I thank each of you for coming out on this evening, and I look forward to sharing with you the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
I failed to announce that we do have a timekeeper. We will give y'all 20 minutes before your time, 20 seconds before your time is up. Timekeeper is Cheryl Edwards.
Look for the red flashcard or something. Joyce Lawrence is next.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Joyce Lawrence. I am a native Louisianan. I grew up in the rural area of the Parish in Halston. I grew up in a household where principles were the honor of the day and that values were taught. I also want you to know that as a candidate for Commission 12C, I've been in this community for 11 years working my heart out to protect our property values from fighting the proliferation of liquor stores and fighting back manufactured homes in our brick and mortar neighborhoods, fighting back dollar stores which have flooded our community, all of which bring down the property values in this area. One of the things that I envision as commissioner is that we would move towards a bottoms-up model rather than a top-down model in terms of what we do for you as citizens and voters of Caddo Parish. As I look forward to serving you, I'm looking at what's the best fit for this area. What's the best fit for Caddo Parish? What's the best fit for District 12? Having said that, I bring to you 20 years of government service in policy and legislation. I bring to you also a very broad understanding and a detailed understanding of what real economic development is beyond jobs. I hope that as you go to the polls to cast your vote, that you're looking at what has been said in a number of ways and votes that have already taken place in this parish. One with the millage that citizens pretty much basically said that we don't want these millages. You haven't given us enough information, and a number of other reasons. We also just had on Tuesday another incident where citizens have said to their other elected officials on another body that we want to be included. I look forward to having you included in government decisions, to basically developing a more accountable and transparent way of serving you, the public, as well as expanding economic development, which is beyond job development. We have to talk about not just jobs, but jobs that are sustainable, jobs that provide living wages, jobs that are permanent, jobs that are providing benefits. Part-time jobs, I don't know about you, but I know so many people in this parish that are working 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. I was a single mom, and I know that effect. I think that we can no longer say that education at the parish level is not one of our agenda items. I have visions and I have plans, and I've developed some projects that will include education.
Everybody's cell phone's now on quiet, I hope. Now, thank you very much. Fred Moss is next.
Greetings, everybody. I just want to say thank you for having me here today. My name is Fred Moss, and I'm not a stranger to a lot of folks in this area because 2 years ago I ran for state representative. And in walking this district, this is some of the same district that I walked with state representative. Some of the same problems I hear every day. And walking now, I hear them again. And main thing is no taxes. We don't want to see any more increases in taxes in this district. It's killing us, okay? Neighborhood taxes, property taxes, they need to be lowered. And those are some of the things that the people want in District 12. And all I want to do as your next commissioner in District 12 is do that for you. It's not what I want to see, it's what you want to see. Okay, when I walk this area of District 12 and I look at Greenwood and I look at Steeplechase and I look at Timberline, I look at production. The houses there, the value of those properties are so high. So that's why my main thing when I get in office is going to be no new taxes. No additional taxes at all. That's going to be my stand 24/7. Okay, now, my next thing is economic development. When you're traveling through Greenwood area, that's a lot of space out there. Can you agree? Yes. What do you want to see here in District 12? We have McDonald's, we have Popeyes, but we don't have shopping centers here. Okay, we need those type of things here in District 12. Okay, and Greenwood will be the perfect place for that. Coming into Greenwood, we can have a Tangent Mall situation where you have a DSW, or you'll have a Marshalls, or you have an Applebee's. These are some of the simple things that people want in District 12. It's not what I want to see, it's what the people of District 12 want to see. Okay, so if you elect me as your next District 12 representative, number 23 on the ballot, I guarantee you I will bring that to the table. My expertise are, me and my organization, Royal Making Friends, have bought right under $1 million to the city's economy for the last 18 years with the Let the Good Times Roll Festival. So I'm no stranger to work. I am a servant. I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a servant. So if you call me, I'm there. If you need me, I'm there. Anytime, any place. The number that you call is 470-3890. That is my number. It's been my number for years. And that's the number that you can reach me at. So I'm not hard to reach. I've been employed at Southern University for over 21 years. And right now, I'm there at Southern University, and I also work at KTAL, NBC6 News, over branding. I'm a branding manager. So all I'm asking you is, on October the 14th, come out and vote for Ed Moss. Give me a chance to prove to you that I can be your next commissioner of District 12. And also, get out there and early vote. If you're not going to be in town that weekend, I need you to get out there and early vote, because I have a lot of plans for District 12, and I'll share them with you later on this evening. Thank you.
Kay Waller.
Good evening. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Ferdinand and the Caddo Democratic Parish Executive Committee for hosting this forum. Forums such as these are very valuable in educating the citizens as to where candidates stand on certain issues. Now, my vision is to simply take care of the taxpayers with the money that the Caddo Parish citizens entrust the commissioners to use, and not to spend it like there's a never-ending supply. During my 34-year career span with the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Department, I demonstrated leadership, honesty, strong work ethics, and financial accountability. I have served as treasurer for Timberline Homeowners Association for the past 14 years, and I'm currently also serving as treasurer for Caddo Bossier Veterans Committee. And funds have grown substantially, and I've had no negative reporting. I will be a voice for all the people is the reason why I'm running, not just a certain group, race, gender, or political party. I want to work with the citizens to make sure that West Caddo Parish, West Shreveport is the place that we want to live, and still be the place that our children and grandchildren want to live. And I will include the citizens in decision-making of parish business by hosting individual town hall meetings in the town of Greenwood, Bethany, and West Shreveport. I will use social media, and I will issue quarterly newsletters to educate and inform the citizens as to what I'm doing and the reason why I'm doing this. Also, I will work with District 12 school board members, Shreveport City Councilmen, and community leaders to create plans of action for District 12. Now, I believe in good credit, and I will set an example of fiscal responsibility by taking an active role to ensure the parish of Caddo maintains its AAA bond rating and adequate fund balance. As of now, Caddo Parish Commission has low debt, and we want to keep it as it is. More importantly, I am retired, and I can be a full-time accessible commissioner to the citizens of District 12. I can attend special work sessions, I can attend public hearings, community pancake festivals, and I can even go to hot fish fries. I can be accessible. Now, I will be a leader for the people by making decisions that are in the best interest of the people. I will be honest with you, I will serve you, I will consult you, and I will have compassion for you, and I will diligently work on your behalf. I ask each of you to please read my push card, because I can't get it all in 3 minutes. And also, I want to ask you for your prayers, your support, and your vote on October the 14th. Again, I want to thank the Caddo Democratic Parish Executive Committee for hosting this meeting. And let's remember to pray for citizens and our victims of Hurricane Harvey. Thank you all for coming out this evening. May God bless each of you.
Darius Kimball is also here. We got out of alphabetical order, but no worries. Glad to have you.
First and foremost, let me say good evening. And thank you to Chairman Larry Ferdinand, as well as to the other Caddo Democratic Executive Committee body for having us here today. I'll start off by saying, entrepreneur and humanitarian Nathaniel Bronner said, success occurs when preparation meets opportunity. My co-laborers, neighbors, family, and friends, I have earnestly prepared, and now we have a golden opportunity to not just maintain the success of what we have acquired, but attain the success required to remain and further fortify ourselves as a key component of Caddo Parish in all Northwest Louisiana. How have I prepared? Living amongst great people. My parents chose to live in Western Hills when I was young, at a time when racial tensions were still at fever pitch in many corners of our nation. Our family home was targeted by vandals. However, my parents taught me that neither we run from adversity nor judge those around us for the actions of but a few. We seek to find common ground and work toward a more perfect union hand in hand. After living in South Louisiana for a while, I realized in 2000 that I needed to return to cultivate a home. Now, my wife of 17 years, and our 3 daughters are residents of Western Hills. A far cry from the community with 2-lane blacktop roads I knew as a child. Learning from great people, I am a proud product of Caddo Parish school system. Neighbors taught me reading, writing, and arithmetic right at Turner Middle School. A lifelong learner, I have continued to embrace the wisdom, successes, and mistakes of elders and peers that I might act deliberately and soundly. Leading great people. Whether I was wearing my Army battle dress uniform, standing along the side of the bravest men and women to ever grace the sod of this earth as a Desert Storm veteran, or dressed in a suit and tie, I have invested in countless soldiers, staff, and students. From managerial roles in corporate America for over a decade to being a fiscal officer, maintaining and overseeing a $24.5 million budget yearly, to include acquisition of general studies and 60-passenger travel motor coach buses is just a small amount. So, we say this. Now, we, you, each of us. That's it? Oh, sorry.
Plenty more time to go to. We're going to move to some Q&A now. Each candidate gets 3 minutes to answer the questions, and we're going to begin on this side again with Lewis Johnson. And the first question has to do with economic development. What do you believe should be done for meaningful economic development, not small projects that bring just a few jobs, but something that can provide some long-term, robust economic development in Caddo Parish?
I feel that in order to move forward in the area of economic development, that we need to, first of all, have representatives to represent our district that has the ability to create relationships. By relationships, I mean someone who is able to work across the aisle, to have the respect of the other members of the commission so that they can move forward. Now, as it relates to economic development itself, I think that we have to look at it from a broad spectrum. And as you said, more than just jobs, we have to look at the things that impact our communities in order to make our community more attractive to businesses. I think that as a commission that I have, as a commissioner I have, and I will continue to be, to push those initiatives that prove our community to be business friendly. If a community is not business friendly, then it will not have the ability to attract businesses. And by being business friendly, I mean we must position ourselves so that we do not wait for businesses to come, but that we seek out businesses for our community. And along with seeking out those businesses, I think that those areas of city government and parish government must be friendly in that you can cut out some of the red tape, and businesses do not have to go through so much bureaucratic red tape that they find themselves finding other communities such as Bossier or Marshall or surrounding areas easier in order to do business. So I think that we have to look at everything from our community to our politicians to our citizens and a plan for businesses in our community. I think one of the things that we have done since I've been in the position is to identify things and ways to do just that. I am proud of the fact that I work with 11 other commissioners, 9 of whom I have their support. Not all Democrats, some Republicans, some black, some white. But we've established that we can work together. I think that that will be necessary. And of all the things and all the initiatives that we are bringing forth today, of all the things that we say that we are going to do, I am the candidate that can identify what I have done. And what I have done that I'm most proud of is establish relationships, working relationships, and working on those committees. Those people who work with me identified my strength in that area and that I am a member of the Economic Development Committee for the parish. So I'm not finding it secondhand. I'm not finding it from anyone else. I am at the table right now. So when the economic development businesses come to this community, to our parish, I am in on that. And the reason I am is because the other commissioners have identified my experience in that area. So I think that would be the approach in order to address economic development and be successful with that in our community.
Sure.
My back hurt a little bit. Cheers. Okay. Again, with regard to what would I do to actually start meaningful economic development in Caddo Parish? The first thing that I believe that we must do is to invert the model of government that we have in place, meaning that we are being led from the top down. We need to go bottom up, which includes citizens. Also, I believe that we need to identify stakeholders, and the most important stakeholder being the citizens. Among those stakeholders, we also need to identify businesses. We also need to identify community organizations and other government entities, whereby we build a coalition of folks that really share a common vision. The one thing that I believe is also important is that we have to do an inventory of our assets. We have lots of land in District 12 in particular that is undeveloped. We have some of the largest undeveloped plots of land in this parish. We need to identify those parcels of land for development as well as ownership and bring those landowners in as stakeholders. Also, we need to identify our human capital needs. We have a very high unemployment rate. As of June, it was 6.3 in Caddo Parish alone. We need to identify those 25% high school dropouts. That's human capital. We need to look at also building and rebranding Caddo Parish. We see lots of ads on the paper talking about Shreveport, Bossier, this and that. We need to talk about Caddo Parish. We suffer because we don't hold ourselves out as an entity that needs to be recognized and reckoned with. We also need to continue to access coalitions between the school board. We cannot have a viable economic plan if we don't talk about education. I know that the parish cannot build schools at the Caddo Parish School Board, at the Caddo Parish Commission level. But that does not mean that we cannot build relationships, and there are things that we can do to address the number of folks that are unemployed that need retraining and retooling. There's things that we can do to enhance and decrease the high dropout rate. Do you know that in Northwest Louisiana, that Caddo Parish has the highest dropout rate in the North? We have to do something about that. You can't talk about economic development without that. We have housing issues. You probably just heard on the news that Shreveport-Bossier is one of the most affordable areas to live in. So the thing that we need to do is to coalesce and rebrand Caddo Parish, bring everybody to this table, invert this model from the government down and start it from citizens up, whereby any venture that we start on, that the citizens are aware and they have buy-in and have blessed that effort.
Thank you.
To answer that question, and I like to move y'all, to answer that question, my motto, if you look at my card, when you might not have it, is be better, do better together. In order to make that happen, you have to have a relationship with education, with your school board members. That school board member has to have a relationship with your city councilman, the city councilman to the commissioner to the state representative, and your state senator, and it goes on and on. That's how change is made in different districts. That's how change is made in different states. We might not like each other, we might not get along, but at the end of the day, we have one common thing in common, is that we want this city to progress. When you look at LB Road and the things that are happening out there with the Krogers and all the renovations going out there, they work together, okay? Businesses don't want to come to Shreveport if your education system is not strong. So it's going to take all of us to get this thing going. So when I'm going out there to bring new business to Shreveport, to put somebody in their GM building, to put somebody in their GE building, or to start development out there in Greenwood where we can have an Applebee's or we can have some places to shop so we don't have to go to Uri Drive and go to Airline Drive, which is not bad, it's just congested. But we need to work together to make that happen, okay? That's the key thing, working together. I might not get along with you, Mr. Bowman, but at the end of the day, we're gonna come up with a decision to do what? What's better for my constituents in District 12, and what's better for the state, for the city of Shreveport. And to add to that, economic development is so key. Just yesterday, they locked down construction in downtown Shreveport. Well, it was presented wrong. I think together, everybody should have got together on the same page and there could have been a better situation. Communication is the key. I have a communication degree. So I know how to communicate with people. I have a relationship with people. So that's what it's going to take for us to bring economic development here to the parish and here to District 12. And I'm willing to do that. Fred Mouse, number 23 on the back. Thank you.
Good evening. I think first of all, it's going to take some sincerity and some honesty and some integrity to jumpstart economic development. It's going to take leaders that's not going to get in there for self-gain. It's going to have to really get in there and work hard and be prepared and do studies on your own. Use the internet tools to negotiate and network with other individuals. And when you come to the table, come prepared. Not just come talking off the top of your head, but actually do a study, see what's feasible. See what's the best place to build. We don't have to take everything to Uri Drive, but I think within even District 12 that we need to get together. We need to take an active stand. We need to bring the homeowners association. Let the people have a voice. Let the people get out and kind of have a word as to what to say and bring ideas and share those ideas with us. And I will be the type of commissioner that I don't have anything that I'm looking for personal gain, to get employment for myself. All be about the people. And I think as soon as we can get back to the focus on it's about the people and have integrity and be prepared, just not wait to come to a meeting and think about what's on the agenda before you get there, but have time to study, you have time to go out and research and do your work. And then when you come together, then it won't be about just sitting on boards talking, it'll be about getting something done. So I think that's the first thing that we need to do. Thank you.
Good evening once again. First thing first, we're better together. And in order for us to move forward, we have to have the buy-in from the stakeholders, which are you, the people. Now, there has been so many attempts to try to improve that economic development on the side. But we have to be aware that we have organizations in place that was tearing down and didn't want to see this area progress. All right? We have to be able, and we have to have a vision, and we have to be willing to change. I-20 is a major corridor to East Texas, to all of the travelers, all the tourists passing through. But we miss out on their money, we miss out on the revenue because they pass straight through because there's nothing on that outer skirt to entice them to stop, to spend their dollars with us here on this end of town. Now, truth be told, Euro Drive, before Euro Drive became Euro Drive, it was supposed to be this west side of town. So the monies were taken from over here and given over there. So the parties, they may be, they know who they are. They know who they've been railroading and blocking. And we know that we have other entities that are in the progress of working, trying to come to this area. Just so you know, I am one that has the ability to negotiate as well as to get there on the forefront and cultivate relationships to help build our side of town. This side of town. This side of town I've been living on since 1977. My name is Darius Kimball for Caddo, number 21 on your ballot. Thank you.
We're going to go to our second question now, and this time Joyce Lawrence, you get the first swing at this one. The last tax renewal from the commission was defeated. Do you think that future tax renewals will be successful, and why?
Thank you. I spent a lot of time talking, listening, calling, emailing, phoning, texting citizens about the failure of the millage. There were a number of reasons, and I think when you sum it all up, voters and citizens and taxpayers who are being assessed millages by the parish are looking for what are the values of me paying taxes? What is the return on my investment? I heard that a lot. I heard that, and I have to attest. I'm a homeowner. My parish taxes are 3 times what they are for the city. And I too have questions. I think that there was not enough. I came to a meeting here when they were preparing citizens to vote on the millages, and the first thing that I asked, they gave out a handout, and me thinking that, oh, they're telling me what the millage has been used for. I got the spreadsheets, and I'm going to see what's happening, where the money's being spent. I think the citizens sent a message and said, no longer will we allow you to assess us if you cannot include us. I think that the citizens also said that, okay, Caddo Parish has the jurisdiction of 55,000 people, though, 55,000, even though the whole parish has 255,000, but 200 of those are in Shreveport. And people are looking at it. You brag about your bond rating, you brag about, your savings and your Haynesville Shale money. What are you doing for us? What am I getting from my millages? And there were a lot of messages. Some folks were just confused about what the issues really were. I think that the parish needs to do a better job of informing the citizens, disclosing to the citizens where these tax dollars are going, and I think the message was, we will no longer be taxed without representation and inclusion.
Pick up where she left off at on the millages. First of all, getting that information out to your constituents in District 12, that's key. You have to have some type of mechanism to let them know what's going on. A lot of people go to the polls and don't know what exactly they're voting for. They don't know what's on the ballot. They don't know what's important. They don't have anything to jumpstart them to get to the polls. One of my points is no new taxes. I say that because at the end of the day, we pay enough taxes, especially parish taxes, in property and everything. So additionally, I would not support any new taxes, but increasing the rate of return on investment, investment of your tax dollars. Okay, that's very important. You need somebody that's going to get out there and find out how your money is being spent and communicate that to you. Okay, you need to know what's going on with your dollars. You need to get more bang for your buck in the parish. And the thing is, a lot of people don't ask questions. You don't ask questions until after the vote passes, and then you ask all the questions. But you're gonna need a representative in there that can understand it and they can tell you what's going on and explain it to you. Hey, you're going to the polls to vote for this. This is very important that we get this passed. So, if I'm your next Commissioner District 12, that will happen. Once again, it goes back to communication. Communication is the key. So we must get more bang for our buck in District 12. And the way to do that is through communication. Thank you.
I'm not a very long-winded person, and my answer is simply that I think the citizens were misinformed. A lot of individuals were thinking it was a pet tax on the ballot. I saw a lot of that on social media. I heard a lot of that in the area. So I think it was, how many times have this tax bill? You know, that's not often that we saw what happened happen. So I think if the right communication is put out there and the people understand what they're voting for, I do believe the tax will successfully pass when it's come back up for time for renewal. So I just think it didn't pass because of lack of communication, lack of misunderstanding. So I feel that the citizens in this Caddo Parish, they want to see us grow. They don't want things to fail all the time. You know, most people want, and they don't have a problem with renewal, what's already out there. So I think next time we won't have a problem, it will pass with flying colors.
Thank you. As it relates to the village, one thing we got to understand is education is key. And the ball was dropped because the education was disseminated later than sooner. And it was not expressed that the village was just to refund what it was already funded, not to increase anything else. So we have to do a better job as far as proactively advertising and posting that information, as well as having more town hall meetings to educate our community so they will be aware and that they will be behind, because nobody wants to pay more taxes, that's true. But the gist of it all is that without taxes, we can't function. Our schools can't function. Our government can't function. All right? To their own self, be true. Thank you.
Go to the other side here, Lewis Johnson, 3 minutes.
Thank you. As it relates to the issue of the millage and the millage not being successful, that is obviously a concern for our parish and a concern for our parish commission. And I stand as a commissioner who was in the seat at the time. And so I believe that what's necessary is that we would communicate. Not only that we would communicate, I did communicate. I bought into this very room, into this very facility, we had a meeting for the taxes, for the renewal. And I brought with me the administrator, I brought with me our director of finance, I brought with me our public information officer, and we came in order to inform our citizens exactly what it is, exactly what it was. Now, I can honestly say that as a commission, that we've listened to our citizens, and there's a very real lesson for us in that respect. I've gone on radio programs during that time, went on television programs during that time, for that very reason, to communicate to our citizens the specifics as related to that. We know that our society, we clearly have an anti-tax society, and people have some real concerns in that area. But services are critical. Services are critical, and in order to have those services, they must be funded. They must be funded. So we have to continue to work hard, listen to our citizens, communicate as best we can. But I feel that we did that, but we can do a better job. And I think that also voter apathy. When I sit in a meeting such as this, there are many in here tonight who did not vote, who did not vote for it, who did not vote against it, and yet utilize those services. As relates to parks and recreation, as relates to the courthouse, we utilize those services, but many of us did not vote. So it's important that we as citizens and we as community leaders get the communications and the news and the word out to our citizens, And then it's important that our citizens too will become more involved in that respect. So we want to continue to try and encourage our citizens to be informed, and once you are informed, to do your part as well, to do those things that's necessary to make our city and our parish better. But that is what we did do, and we've learned from it, and I believe clearly that when we have the tax, or when we have the renewal, and it comes up again, I'm very confident that it will be successful.
Our third question goes first to Mr. Moss, and the question is, what do you know about the funding of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, as they're known? Also, do you support the funding of non-governmental organizations?
Well, being that I'm over Royal Megan Friends, which is Let the Good Times Roll Festival, we receive funding from that. And I am in support for that because most people, let me get up. What's the other part of the question?
What do you know about funding NGOs and do you support funding NGOs?
Yes, sir. I do support funding NGOs because, first of all, they need money. When you go down to the parish, there are different situations where different organizations need funding. Okay, a lot of people don't know that you can apply for those funds. Okay, those fundings help bring in different things to your district. Okay, you have the River Rebel, it helps with things like that. It helps with things with the Let the Good Times Roll Festival. It helps for other little things that happen around the city. Because our parish is one of the richest parishes in the United States of America. People don't realize that. We have a lot of money in the parish. So yes, I do support that, and that's my reason for it.
Yes, I do also support those organizations, but I think that there needs to be a guideline, there needs to be some serious thought into, before you definitely make a decision to fund an organization. You need to see the history of the organization. You need to check and see the status of the organization, really who's benefiting. You need to also dig a little bit further and to see, is it going to benefit our community? Is it going to help our parish? And perhaps is it going to employ somebody? So, before, you obviously can't find everyone that comes before you. You just can't do that. There has got to be some type of guidelines and some type of the individual applying, you need to make sure they have their licenses or they're in good standing, they have their proper insurance. A lot of people come down and apply, and if they get rejected, maybe because they don't have the proper insurance, they don't have the proper licenses. So there's a lot to take in consideration of, who are you going to support, who you're going to give the funds to. So in short, I do support certain organizations. But just, somebody coming up that does not have any history at all, and you can't, you can Google the internet and find out about most people, but if you can't even eyeball them, then I think, that should be a red flag. You might want to check a little bit further than that. So, in essence, I do, but there should be some stricter guidelines, and there should be some serious conversations before you just write the check.
NGOs are very important, simply because, just think, if we had no funding for NGOs, there would not be any Council on Aging, there would not be any Meals on Wheels, there would not be a food bank, all right? We have to be able to help those who are trying to help others. As far as, now don't get me wrong, I am very firm on being a good steward of what I have. But the Bible teaches us that we should be able to live a helping hand. And as it relates to the funding, we should also be able to have a stipulation to after a certain grace period, that particular organization should be able to get to the point to where it can become self-sustainable to allow other organizations that are trying to do similar missions to be able to get some funding to get their stuff going as well. But we have to be able to spread it, and we have to make sure that we be about the mission, and that's by doing right for the people. Thank you.
The question was, as it relates to NGOs, what are our views on it and what do we know about it? And I dare say that I have the advantage of serving as a commissioner. And if serving as a commissioner, I dare say that I have probably a better knowledge and understanding as it relates to NGOs. And that I've had an opportunity to identify what those services are to whom our parish commission assists as it relates to governmental funds. Also, I've had the opportunity of not only knowing who they are, but looking at it. One of the candidates says that there should be guidelines. There are guidelines. And not only are there guidelines, we oftentimes are challenged by citizens and other communities, Mr. Wayne being one of them, who has come to before the commission and who has spoken about the NGOs and what the approach should be. So I believe that there is certainly a need for them. But we have I think that the commission now is more physically responsible than any time in recent history with our other commissioners who really do real good oversight as relates to those organizations. But as relates to those agencies, and as Mr. Kimball identified, Meals on Wheels and Council on Aging and those agencies, they do have a need to be funded. But if you look at our funding over the last couple of years, those funding have decreased. We're still providing assistance, but we are encouraging those organizations to become more sufficient and more dependent on themselves as far as what they are getting from the commission, because it is not a guarantee. It is not for you to arrange your budget around that. So I do have a working knowledge. I think I'm probably more knowledgeable in that respect, and I am more knowledgeable because I've worked with the commission, I've worked with those agencies, I've sponsored and supported those agencies, most recently for me being the foster grandparent program. That program had fallen from under its heading under the sponsorship, and I moved forward to try and get sponsorship for it because I thought it was a worthwhile program, the foster grandparent program. So I know quite a bit about it. I'm comfortable with NGOs, and I have a working knowledge because I've had the opportunity to work and make those decisions as it relates to those organizations.
I too am very knowledgeable about non-government organizations. They are vital to the community in that many of them provide community services for our elderly and our children and other services that are critical. However, I am concerned about the process of selection. I'm concerned also that many NGOs are funded, and several of them not only are receiving funding from the parish, but they're also receiving tax abatements, meaning that they are forgiven a certain amount of their taxes. So I'm looking at, as a commissioner, is that double dipping? How is the selection process really made available to all citizens and all NGOs? I think to say that we're going to set a timeline on who gets what, I think that we need to focus more on what is the return on investment and what are the best services and what services are a priority for our community in the selection process and in determining who gets funded. The other thing that I would like to say is that we need to start looking at evaluation. I looked into the budget and there's over $2 million going into NGOs. I saw nothing in the budgets or in the ordinances that require that any program is evaluated, meaning that we need to look at the effectiveness of the organizations when we determine who gets funded, who gets refunded, and who gets cut off. when we have services to our elderly and our children who are at risk being jeopardized because of funding, I think that those are priority issues. I think at no time should we say, well, we're going to cut off, you're going to get funding for 3 years, but we're not going to fund you anymore. We need to look at if you're not effective and if you're not efficient and if you're not giving the parish and its citizens a return on that investment, that is your termination point.
Our next question goes first to Kay Waller, and it's about the Caddo Parish Animal Services, specifically the shelter, which has been in the news a lot, excuse me, lately, and in a negative way. So, are you aware of these complaints? Have you ever visited the facility? Do you support privatization of the animal shelter or any other government services?
Good evening. First of all, I do have a pet and I'm very fond of dogs. But yes, the animal shelter has had some very serious allegations and issues brought against that. And this has been going on for a few years now. So I really think that the policy manual needs to be looked at when it comes to the animal shelter. I think that not only the policy manual, but the guidelines, the process of who they're hiring, and take a look at their background, like with all jobs, make sure that you do a thorough background on these individuals, because it's been too much negativism when it comes to the animal shelter. I'm not for privatizing the animal shelter. I think the parish can do a better job. I just think that it needs to be more focused on what's going on with the animal shelter. How can we correct the issues we're going on? I know they have been talking about cameras and more security being placed there. I'm not put more cameras and security there, I believe. So we did put more cameras and security there, but we still have had some issues. So I think it's going to come back to who we're hiring to be over this service. Those people accountable, even from the director on down. Because if you keep having on the same individual watch, then you might have to look at the management there. So I'm not for, like I said, I'm not for privatizing it, but I think that there's going to have to be some structure. We're going to have to look like maybe start from the ground up with the animal shelter and perhaps get pretty much new personnel. That's my thought.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get different results. It's time out for doing the same thing over and over again. It's time to utilize resources and see what is working in other major cities as it relates to their animal control. Now, when we think about the privatization of animal control services, that itself is a win-win situation because you are outsourcing the services to a known agency that has a proven track record to be able to deal with things of that magnitude. If we are continually doing the exact same thing over and over again, then that goes back to a training issue. Maybe we don't have the people that really understand what and how we should properly be managing and handling the animals, as well as what animals should be put down, as well as the lifespan that they should be staying within the facility. If you outsource it, then it's no longer on the Cattle Commission. But the Cattle Commission would have to have somebody in place that would oversee their operation and report back to the progress as it relates to the satisfaction of the people for the animals that have been neglected, that have been abused, and so forth. We all know animals today are just like our children. We become attached to them, we love them, so we want them. And we demand that they be treated decently. Thank you.
Thank you. You asked a several fold question. Part of the question was, have any of the candidates, how do they know about the animal shelter, and have any of them been there? I think was the question that you asked. I hadn't heard anyone answer that question. And if you've not been there, then it's very difficult to really speak from a position of a knowledge if you hadn't really been there. To answer the question, yes, I have been there. And I've been there, I've ridden out with some of the control officers, I've met with the employees there, I've met with the supervisors there, I've met with the volunteers there. And the reason that we've done that is so that, and not only myself, Commissioner Mario, and several others, we went and we had a meeting at the animal shelter. We did a tour of the animal shelter. And we are aware of the things that are being said, but oftentimes they're quite different from what's actually happening at the animal shelter. So in order to speak on that subject, we really have a responsibility to speak from a position of strength. And I dare say that the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter hires good employees. There are people who come there who care about their job, who care about the animals, and who want to do a good job. So I believe that we have good employees. I certainly believe that there are areas in which that shelter can improve, and I think that we've identified some of those areas. And we've done that by listening to some citizens, listening to those groups and volunteers who come out and recommend some things. So we're open in that respect. It was this commission that approved the cameras there. It was this commission that went out and met with those employees a couple of times to get both sides of the story. And as relates to privatization, I believe that there is some merit to privatization, but I think that we are more than capable as a parish. I think that the professionals that we have in place are more than capable of identifying best practices as it relates to animal care and do a good job in that respect. So I think that we are doing a good job. I think that the audits are showing improvements in that respect. And so clearly we can do a better job, and there are some concerns in that respect. But in order to really speak to it, I think we must start by speaking to the people that are there, actually going there and actually know exactly what's going on before we can really start with solutions. We must identify the problem.
Thank you. What do I know about the animal shelter? I know it's been all over the news. I know that some of the rumors about some of the inappropriate behavior among the employees, about inappropriate activities with the animals, much of that was verified. And I would say that you don't have to make a visit, and no, I've never been there. I'm an animal lover. I do support the animal shelter. I do not believe at any time a government entity should privatize out its departments. I do say that I disagree with the interim appointed commissioner that you cannot speak to the issue if you haven't been there. There's been enough on the news that all of us that may not know the whole story know at least part of it. It's like passing a rumor. If we're going to pass the rumor, I will start with you, and I will pass the word and say ice cream. But if it gets back over there and it's still ice cream, some of it's true. So I want to say that I think that there needs to be an examination of that organization. There needs to be an examination of the skill level of people that are running that. And I will say to you, interim commissioner, that to pay $72,000 to a director who cannot create reports in Microsoft Excel is a disservice to this community. So I think that we need to examine the job description. I think that we should hire good employees, and if we have a training issue with the sitting employees, however many there are, then let's take care of that. I know that the parish has money, and I know that there are services out there that teach people Microsoft Excel, management skills, and how to run an animal shelter.
Well, I have the advantage too because I actually sit on the committee there at the animal shelter for a year. And there are some bad things that happen at the animal shelter, but there's some good things. They have some good stories they can tell. Like the euthanization there, it was one of the lowest in the state of Louisiana. That was a plus for them. Some of the workers there are not all bad because when I call them to my street on Sanders, I have a dog, Rose. She's a poodle. She gets tickets sometimes. But when they come, I saw the progress and I saw the process in which they get dogs. It was 2 pit bulls out. Okay, and this is a story that should be told because the bad always outweighs the good. There are some good stories. It was a pit bull, and these guys, they didn't attack the pit bull. They got out there with food and played with the dog. And I wanted to put it on camera, but the guy told me not to do it. But I said, you know what, y'all need to tell your story there. Because there are some good things that happen there. Like the privatization there, I'm not for that because you need to be able to run your own facility. And the parish has enough money to bring in the right person to run the facility. And until that happens, things are going to happen like that. Social media, the news, mainly, they bring out the bad things. But there are some good things that happen at that shelter. Now, just recently, the incident with the young lady and the dog, that kind of tarnished the shelter for a while. But we need to pick some of the good things. So there are some good things that happen. The privatization, I'm not for that. And I just think communication, and I also think that education is key. And we need to look into the process of hiring somebody, bringing in a good staff members that can handle that situation at the dog shelter. Thank you.
I think it's worth mentioning that incident did not occur at the shelter.
Right. Then they weren't employed at the time.
All right, we're going to go to one more question here. We've got Darius Kiffle. Your turn to go first. And the question is, what do you see are the biggest challenges facing Caddo Parish over the next decade?
The biggest challenge that I see that's facing Caddo Parish over the next decade, if we don't learn how to retain our young people from when they graduate college to come back home and to take over the legacy that we live, being our village is about to really perish. So with that in mind, we have to be on the forefront trying to work and make opportunities realistic to give them a better way of life, to where they don't feel like they have to move to Dallas or Houston or somewhere else, but they can come back to home, sweet home. It reminds me of the story of John. When Jonathan left, he was gone for a while. But yes, eventually he made his way back home. So I challenge you as parents, as citizens, if you see a young person, encourage that young person and let them know that Shreveport is your home and Shreveport is waiting on you to come back, to take the reins, to take it to the next level. Thank you.
I think that as relates to the challenges for the next 10 years, I don't necessarily view them as challenges. I think I would rather view them as opportunities. And I think that any challenges that we face clearly would be in the area of jobs. We recognize the importance of jobs. And I think that we, as a community, one of the challenges or one of the opportunities that we have is an opportunity to brand or rebrand our city, brand or rebrand our parish. I think that once again, not only are these things that can be done, they are very doable. Something as simple as having some input and control over what pops up when you Google Caddo Parish. What pops up when you Google Shreveport. If we simply become serious about branding our community and we make it our commitment to showcase the positives and the good things that are happening in our community as opposed to the negatives, I think that that in itself will move us in the right direction. And then once again, jobs of course is always going to be a concern, and that in order for a community to be attractive to others and to those who are still in the community, we must commit not only to new jobs, but I think that a challenge that we will continue to face is our commitment to support businesses that we now have. So those businesses, small businesses and mid-sized businesses that are committed to doing business in our parish, I think that we must support them as we continue to try and support and seek out new businesses. So I think our challenge is going to be branding, it's going to be business and jobs, and of course to make sure that we continue to do those things that we can to make our community and keep our community as safe as we possibly can. That's always a priority for any community. It's always a concern for anyone that's moving into a community. And I think that we have to keep that on the forefront. And even when things are good, we must be working to make those things better. So I would think that branding is important, jobs are important, and creating and maintaining a safe community and being committed to a better quality of life would be our challenges or the opportunity for those people that serve.
I think over the next decade, one of our largest challenges will be to create an environment that attracts businesses. An environment that will retain our millennials and our young people and decrease our dropout rate. First of all, in terms of attracting businesses, we've had a lot of things that have gone on in Caddo Parish, from the fight about the monument to this newest thing with the sports complex. We have to begin to admit some things. We have a high unemployment rate. We have an unskilled workforce. We have a high crime rate. Whether we want to associate ourselves with the city of Shreveport or not, I know that some will say that Caddo Parish itself, and I believe some of our law enforcement officials on the sheriff's side say that, that they have a very low crime rate, but you cannot brand or think about Caddo Parish unless you include Shreveport. And I think that one of the issues is the silos. We have to overcome the silos. The silos that say, well, this is my purview, that's your job. We have to really focus on coalescing, and I believe that I bring that to the table. Having created a number of partnerships in my former employment with a county, which they call Parish here, I think that when we build coalitions and partnerships across government entities, including citizens, as well as businesses, as well as community organizations, as well as education, the school board, that in the next 10 years, we can see ourselves rebounding from the distressed situation that we're in now. With your help and your vote, I have at least 2 plans that I'm ready to hit the ground with to actually accomplish some of those issues. Number 22 on the ballot, Joyce Lawrence.
I come from an education background, so first of all, we have to decrease the dropout rate here in Caddo Parish. We have to educate people, or re-educate folks, so they can get jobs. So we can bring in not service jobs, but manufacturing jobs. District 12 is a rich district. Like I said once before, we have the GE plant, we have the GM plant. And let's just face the elephant in the room. We know we have some bad deals that went on the table a couple years ago with the EDO Motors. We're still waiting for that car to happen. So why can't we go out there and find businesses to come to Shreveport that can bring those jobs? Because we're still waiting for the three-wheel car to come, okay? So what's happening out there in that General Motors plant? Right now, we have Kia out there. Well, Kia supply is there, and he has a little section of their plant. We need more people out there. We need more jobs. So preserving neighborhood integrity is one of my key points. And one of the things is prioritizing programs and initiatives that's going to increase your property value here. So the jobs that we bring here, we can't just bring any jobs here, any businesses here. But you have to be something that you're going to see more bang for your buck. It has to be something that you're going to be able to say, hey, my property value is going to rise. You don't need nothing to go bring your property value down. So in order to do that, education, re-educating people, to bring them here, and also those relationships. I say be better, do better together. I said earlier, you have to have those relationships with your education person. In this district, it's Dottie Bell. Okay? She's your Caddo Parish school representative. Your city councilman, Jerry Bowman. You got to have those relationships so y'all can go out of town and find those businesses to bring back here. You have to sell Shreveport. And who can sell Shreveport no better than us? We can, because we live here, and I know I can. I love District 12, and when I talk about District 12, I get excited because we have so many things we can do in District 12. So challenges, I say, re-education and educating people, and then when these jobs get here, they'll be able to what? Make money, raise families, build. Thank you.
I have several things that I think are challenging, but I'm going to first start off with the fact that there are so many homicides in this city. I think that is going to have to be addressed. We have so many young men, in particular black males, that's dying every night. And I think the community is going to have to come together. We're all going to have to work together, just not the police department, just not the sheriff department, but community leaders, school teachers and all. Like when I was reared, you know, everybody was part of my village. And I think that's one of the most things that we're going to have to work on is getting the crime down in this city. Also retooling for global competition. We're going to have to train. Everybody per se doesn't have to go to a 4-year higher education. But there should be some training programs that get these young people ready to compete, and have confidence come in, and we already have people that train that can do these jobs. Also, diversity of other ethnic groups. I mean, everybody should be included, just not one group, just not one certain income level, just not for education, your status quo, but we're going to have to bring everybody into the fold, and give everybody an opportunity, to grow and to prosper in this area, not just for certain people. Because I know a lot of time, in my walk, it shouldn't be always about who you know, or what you have, or what you can gain from an individual. So I think it's going to have to go back again to integrity. I think we all have integrity, we all have a common goal, and that's to try to get along and want each to see everybody prosper, just not want it for your child or your church member or your neighbor, but let everybody come in. So I think that's a big challenge that we all can gravitate to diversity of other ethnic groups. Thank you.
Okay, finally, we're going to let the candidates tell you in their words why are they seeking the office of Caddo Parish District 12 Commissioner, who we begin back this way, Louis Johnson.
Thank you. I'm seeking the position of Caddo Parish Commissioner because the position is a position of public service. Position is to identify the needs of our citizens, and when we identify those needs, answer and respond to those needs. I believe that I've proven that I can do that. I have a history, 33 years of public service, and that public service is to every community that we have in this city. And not only that, but I've also had the opportunity to represent departments, to represent organizations, and to do so. So not only was I a member of the Shreveport Fire Department, I was a public information officer. So as it relates to public information and communication, it has been my strength. Others have talked about the things that they can do and getting excited about the things that they can do. I'm excited about the things that I have done. As it relates to economic development, just in the time that I've been here, local businesses in this community, West Shreveport, one being the Resilient House, which is on West 70th and Pines. That is a business that is going to bring approximately 120 jobs to this community within the next couple of months or so. I have been instrumental in bringing them here. I am the person that they've communicated with, to whom they view as being able to communicate with. Another business, Brotherly Love, a black-owned restaurant that was moving to the other side of town until I spoke to them. I spoke to them, I courted them, and they are going to be opening in this community on Greenwood Road, right next to the Sam's in the blue building within the next couple of days. Another 25 to 30 employees. So as it relates to economic development, I'm not talking about it, I am about it. As it relates to public service, I'm not talking about it, I have a proven history. As it relates to relationships, I have them. I see a commissioner that's in the audience on tonight, and I thank you for coming. I'm able to work with him. I'm able to work with the other commissioners. We can talk about the things that we're going to do. I assure you that none of us can do anything without the respect, without the support of other commissioners. I have it. I've served, I'm serving respectfully, and I'm representing you. I'm representing you. I'm doing it with respect. I'm doing it with integrity, and I have the ability to do it. I have the experience now. I have the education to do it. I have the background of public service. I say second to none. If it's public service that you want, I can provide it. If it's respect and integrity and being served with respect, I can provide that. And if it's making things happen as it relates to business and economic development, I think I've proven that as well. I ask for an opportunity for your prayers, for your support, and for your vote. I'm Interim Commissioner Lewis Johnson, number 20 on your ballot. Thank you.
Mr. Ferdinand, would you make an announcement?
If you're driving a silver Sorrento, please move it. You're blocking somebody in.
Thank you. All right, back to Joyce Lawrence now. Why did you choose to seek this office?
Okay, for one, I've been a community advocate pretty much all my life in every community that I've lived in. I've lived in 3 states, 5 different cities, and I find myself always in this place of volunteerism and community advocacy. I think that one of the things that comes to mind is that we have an opportunity to really make a change in how we make decisions. I think that we can no longer sit and say, well, I think that I believe that we should do this and we should do that. I think that I'm in a position to bring some decision-making quality, meaning that we need to deal with empirical facts when we're talking about bringing jobs here, bringing businesses here. I too have a proven history of relationship building. I was represented by my county and actually acknowledged by the state of California, where I retired from, by the California legislature for my efforts in building coalitions and partnerships. One of the things that comes to mind when I think about why did I run for this position, I had to examine my motives. I prayed about it. We all have different motives. I'm running for this position because I'd like to move this parish to the next level of building decisions and policies that benefit this community, not just a handful of people in this community. I think that we need to move beyond the platitudes and deal with empirical data, justifications. As I thought about the NGO question that you asked, they've been giving out NGO money for years. Nobody's asking what those folks are doing with that money. They come back every year. There needs to be an evaluation in place for that. We need policies and procedures that represent the people's interests, the voters' interests, the taxpayers' interests. I think that we can no longer rely on how people feel and what they think without justification of decision making. My platform is around accountability and transparency, economic development, full economic development with reinvestment in this community. We don't need large special projects where we bring in the contractors, they make all the money doesn't go back in this community. We need to think about helping our landowners out in this part of the parish build sustainable businesses, sustainable jobs. We need to look at building job retention. What are we doing? What happened to all those people that, actually left GM? All of them didn't leave and go somewhere. Some of them here, and they need to be retrained. I bring that type of skill and ability to this position, and I ask for your vote and support on October 14th, number 22, Joyce Lawrence. Thank you.
Basically, the reason why I decided to run for this seat is because I'm a servant. I love District 12. When I ride through District 12, I ride through District 12 every night. Sometimes I just ride around and just look at the woods and see, and I just envision different things, like different subdivisions and different businesses coming to District 12. But mainly education, to me, is one of the reasons I ran too, because the unemployment rate here in Shreveport is very high because a lot of folks are not educated. Okay, me working at Southern University for over 20 years, I see it every day. I train people to go into the media field. Okay, and I am so blessed this year to have a class full of media journalists that are going to graduate and go work for Channel 6 and Channel 3 and Channel 12. That's going to keep them here. So we have to find things to attract people to Shreveport, okay? That's the key thing, all right? My platform is about no new taxes. When y'all hear that, just say, what is he saying about no new taxes? I'm absolutely not going to vote for any more tax increases. We pay enough in taxes, okay? Y'all need to see more bang for your buck in District 12. Find out what's going on with the dollars, your tax dollars. What's happening? Why was this spent? Why did we fail on this over here? And what happened? And what are we going to get for that? Economic growth. We talk about that all the time. I talked about it all night. Economic growth to me is District 12. When I was growing up, District 12 we had a Sam's warehouse over here. That was awesome. District 12 was a beacon in the community. And I have to echo what Mr. Campbell said. That was supposed to be us, Uri Drive. But it went to Uri Drive. So my reason for running is to bring life back to District 12, okay? We need that. We need to bring in jobs, and we need to bring in businesses that will do what for your property value? Increase it, okay? The businesses that we bring in, liquor stores and these little mom and pop stores are nice, but some of those stores do what? Bring down your property value. So I want to bring in businesses that are not only service jobs, but manufacturing jobs. Once again, bringing jobs to District 12, making District 12 a place where you can raise a family, where we have great schools, great people, great businesses, and you can shop, and you can eat, and you don't have to go across town. That's what the people of District 12 want. They just want the simple things, and I want to give it to them. Be better, do better together is my motto. I can't do it by myself. I need all y'all to help me with this, okay? So number 23, Fred Moss, on October the 14th, for Caddo Commission District 12. You can't forget number 23, because it's Michael Jordan's number, and it's also who else? LeBron James. So remember number 23 on October the 14th. And y'all, let's do this. Let's get this. Be better, do better together. Thank you.
I'm simply running because I believe in always people first. I have worked for 34 years with the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, and I've demonstrated leadership, integrity, honesty, and financial accountability. I can be a full-time commissioner to the citizens. I can be prepared for meetings. I have time to research. I have time to negotiate. If you look at my bulletin board back at the back, I just didn't start working in District 12. I have organized and attended all District 12 community meetings. I've negotiated Haynesville Shell leases for many people to make sure citizens receive their maximum lease bonus. I've worked to get the Huntington Parking Plaza lot because we all know it's full of potholes. So I've worked extensively to get that parking lot fixed. I've worked with several neighborhoods. We've had a panhandling issue with panhandlers hanging around the post office, hanging around the Dollar Tree. You don't see that anymore. If you've gone up and you've noticed, you don't see the panhandlers hanging around the dollar store or hanging around up at the post office. There was a dog over there with a panhandler sitting in the corner, but you don't see that anymore. So I'm not running for any self-gain. I just didn't come on the block. You know, I haven't had to have any type of accolades because I've served. You know, not only have I volunteered at Northwest Food Bank, but I have actually served in this community. Just recently we had a tent up between Deer Creek and Timberline, the Panhandles tent, and I think you remember that. And I worked with Corporal Wilhite because we had senior citizens that was concerned about panhandlers traveling through the neighborhood. They were frightened. So I worked to get that dismantled. So I'm not about talk. You know, I'm not about having to receive accolades. I'm about the people. I'm about putting people first. And I'm about being honest. And if I'm elected, I won't lie to you and tell you that I'm going to do something and won't call you back. I'm going to tell you if I can't do it, and I'm going to refer you to somebody else that can help you. I won't be that type of servant, you know, to get in there and just ignore citizens like so often now. People say they can't get in contact with whoever they represent. I will be honest with you. I will consult you and I will include you in decision making of parish business. So I too ask for your support. I ask for your vote. I ask for your prayers as well. And like I said, when it's over, go back and pull my push card, look at my poster board. I've been around a long time, and like I say, I just didn't start serving, but I decided not to run while I was working because I feel like you have to, in order to serve and serve properly, you need to be able to do a full-time position. Thank you.
I'm a Christian. I am a child of God. I serve the church, serve my pastor. Now it's time for me to serve you, the people, the community of District 12. Reared in a devout Christian household, my pastor and my spiritual father, as well as my biological father, love was embedded in me. Growing to accept my calling to the ministry at the age of 33, I have coupling actions with my love and humanity in any way I can. Now, you, each of us have the opportunity to pave our path to even higher successes within our parish, specifically District 12, by bringing new life of leadership to District 12. We shall live through leadership, inclusion, vision, and expansion. We shall live. We should have more jobs, more citizen support groups, more industry, more culture, fewer crimes, fewer potholes, more life. District 12, if you're ready to live, remember, come up for Caddo. If you're ready for Texan tourists to see booming commerce and open their arms as they cross the state line, and after a day choked, full of enjoyment, driving to the sunset, eager for soon to return to I-20 East, District 12, remember, Kimball for Caddo. Bleak days we've overcome. District 12, better days are yet to come. Remember, Kimball Caddo. I'm Darius Kimball, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Thank you to all of the candidates. And before they turn out the lights on us, Mr. Ferdinand has something to say to close.
Thank you very much. Let's give our candidates another round. First, we run out of time. I'd like to apologize for not getting to the question from noise, but they get ready to kick us out of here. I apologize for that. Need to thank a few people. First, Mr. Bernie Woods, who's store on the corner of Hearn and Lakeshore, provided all the drinks. Okay, so if y'all see Bernie Woods, thank him. Okay, I'd like for other members of the Democratic Parish Executive Committee who's here to please stand, and I'll recognize you, please. Okay. Vice President, Mr. James Hurd, and also Ms. Nita Steele. Save the best for last. Nita chaired the committee for this event tonight, and she's also first Vice President. So thanks to all our people for all your hard work, okay? Once again, one last thank you, Jerry May. For a great price, free. Once again, once again, thank all of you for coming out tonight. We really need to work on getting our voter turnout. The most important thing is you go out and vote. Okay? Thank you very much, and good night.